Jesse Sandwich in here to talk about Redwood Rally, dude. Pumped. All right, guys. Well, welcome to episode 124 of the Drag Driver Pete Show presented by Summit Racing. How many years is this y'all's fourth event? Third event. Okay. I was close.
Year number 3.
Yeah. We're going to be going to your fourth one. I just want to get that out in the open right now. We're coming, man. It looked like an incredible time.
It was fantastic. We really could not have asked for a better event.
I agree with that. It looked incredible. All the people that were out there, all the racing was really tight. We went over that on the news on Saturday morning. And man, a lot of that stuff changed between Saturday morning and Saturday evening.
Yeah, I think the one thing that is so much different that people don't really understand about our event is the way tracks operate on the West Coast is so much different than the Midwest and back East. Felicia came out and ran our event this year, and she said, man, what a curveball. Like, the tracks are so much different here. And unfortunately for us West Coasters, the part of the problem is there's not enough racetracks and not enough racers, and then they just get promoted awkwardly. And luckily, we do a good job, and the Drag and Drive community has really wanted a West Coast event. Mm-hmm. So they've come flocking to our event. We've done a really good job managing it, I believe, and bringing in sponsors and bringing in everybody. But the tracks, they're just a little bit different. They don't race week in and week out. Most of them have some decent equipment, but they're because there's not cars going down them as frequently as so many tracks in the Midwest. The track prep just doesn't seem to be what some people back that way on the eastern side of the country are used to. It doesn't mean that they're bad. It's just different. And Woodburn Drag Strip, that would be one of the premier facilities on the West Coast. We do 2 stops in Medford. We actually do our day 0, our check-in day, our test and tune, and then day 1 and 5 are in Medford. And the traction and the track prep there by Justin is usually really good. But the tracks out here, I don't understand. I race all around the country. We go no prep racing, we go pro mod racing, we go all over the place. And the temperature just does not seem to affect tracks in the Midwest like it affects them out here. We get a good start in the morning when it's nice and cool out. Everything's just fast. And then when the sun comes out and it gets to be 80, 90 degrees, throws a curveball. It's a whole different animal. And that's where, like Shane Probst, right? Shane didn't make it to our event this year, but he's been really fast. I think he had a 461 average last year. Shane is like a gangster. That is throwing it down for the tracks that we're running on. Coos Bay, it's a street. They put some glue on it. It's a real racetrack, but it's very porous. They have no drag tractor. They just spray glue and they go. And I think Shane went like 473 there, which is practically unheard of, to be honest.
That's awesome.
If we can get some more people from the Midwest and out east, I would love to see them rise to the challenge. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Felicia and the other people that came out, they will attest to the fact that our scenery, our routes, our views, everything is the best in the drag and drive world. The tracks are a little bit tougher
Jesse
to
Fox
manage.
was talking about that. Yeah, he was saying it was just gorgeous.
Oh yeah. It's just the racing part is just a little bit harder for the drivers and the tuners to get it done. But ultimately, it's an even playing field for everybody, and everybody has a really good time. And even though it's not, some of them, we really don't get complaints about it, but we get people that say, wow, this is tough. And like Donovan and Olivia, for them to be as fast as they are on small tires, and Nate with the stick shift Fairmont, it's really saying something. And it's hard to get a good comparison unless you're out here and you really experience it.
Well, and I think that's one of the biggest benefits to doing all of these different events around the country is you do get a different experience with each one that you're doing.
Oh, for sure.
That's awesome. All right, well, let's run through. I want to take this segment here and work through the winners. So I grabbed a ton of photos from the Redwood Rally page. Guys, go over there, look at all the stuff, look at all the posts they've made. I want to run through the winners real quick, bring some of this. We're going to just say the winners because I didn't know who was who and put photos with all the stuff. But I wanted to start out because let's jump into some Deech Works stuff. That's who we're going to bring on. Jesse Adams here from Redwood Rally here momentarily. Deech Works is a leading manufacturer of high-performance fuel system components. The DW product line includes fuel injectors, pumps, pump modules, rails, regulators, filters, lines, fittings, surge tanks, all engineered to support power levels ranging from 400 to 3,000 horsepower. check out deechworks.com for your fuel system needs, and you can use DDR10 as your code for 10% off. Not just like with everybody else, not just super cool products for your fuel system. They also have merch and all that kind of cool stuff that goes along with that. You talk about some traction stuff. This truck had no problem with traction all week.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
So you put the winners up, and I'll give you a little rundown on who they are.
Well, so we'll be saying who they are, and then you can go on and tell us from there. So Eric, I'll let you kind of start us off with some winner lists.
3-pedal class had 27 entries. Nate Curran in the 80 Fairmont, total ET of 37.858.
So I will explain, some of our tracks are 1/8 mile. We've got 3 quarter-mile days and 2 1/8 mile days. And the stick shift class is a quarter-mile class. So it's hard to put an average together properly to make it look right. So we just do a overall ET for 5 days. And yeah, so Nate was at a 37.85, and second place there, just to give you an example, was 39.90. So Nate had a really strong hold on that entire category. He did go at 886 and 853. 853 was his quickest ET of the 5 days. And Nate's car is fun to watch because it's usually straight for about 700 feet, and then you don't know what it's going to do.
Yeah, he got it down. That was impressive. I saw the 853. I was like, wow. Yeah, he was running it out. Well, how about American Graffiti Hard Tire? What does this mean? This is a 1/8 mile class, 26 entries in this class. Joe Bloomberg won it with a 678 average.
Yeah, so the hard tire class, pretty similar to most hard tire classes out there. It's a 200 treadwear rating or higher. Bloomberg in the 65 Mustang, Carl Brown finished second with a 712 average. Joe was a 678 average. So he's about almost 4/10 quicker than Carl right there. And Carl was in a C8 Corvette with traction control and so on. So Joe's Mustang really got down the track well. It's fun to watch the hard tire cars. I was going to do a hard tire, or I did do a hard tire shootout day 2 at Coos Bay, and they were the first ones out on the racetrack. Everybody was a little nervous about that because Coos Bay, like I said, it's like a street surface with some glue on it. But Joe got down really good and managed to win that one.
So talk to us about that shootout. What's that mean? Is that like a top 4? Or is that a chip draw? What do you do?
So we took day 1, we didn't do any shootouts at all. And the issue that I've had, and I always have to deal with from fans and spectators and so on, is the lack of head-to-head, heads-up, win-light racing at drag and drives. Because essentially, when you're watching as a spectator, it looks like a massive test and tune. Win lights don't matter. Reaction times are all over the board. So I wanted to put some side-by-side heads-up competition together. So on day 2 there at Coos Bay, I took we had 4 racers in junior street, and the junior streeters, they did a bracket race based on the indexes that they set for themselves, and we'll get into that later. So we had a junior street bracket race at Coos Bay, and then we did the 8-tire hard tire shootout. So the top 8 in results after day 1, they came up to the booth and they chip drew pairings, and then they ended up racing 8-car shootout, 3 rounds, very simple. Their results from the shootout were valid results to turn in for their daily passes. So if a guy lost first round, he could turn in his time slip and get on the road.
That's so they could they then make passes like in an open run or something like that later in the day?
Yeah, absolutely. So they can fall right back into the scheduled run order. The way we do ours is we do 1 complete run order session separating each category. Then we'll do a second one. By the time we get into the second one, this is all 5 days. By the time we get into the second one, about 40 to 50% of the competitors do one and done, and they split. So then we get into a second rotation. We run that full rotation, and then after that, it's open time runs. We just separate street tires from race tires. And those guys that ran first round, if they wanted to make a second pass, they would have come up with hard tire later in the rotation. Unfortunately, at Coos Bay, well, we did get the shootout finished, and Matt Ray in a diesel pickup, he ended up winning the shootout. The guy that he was supposed to race in the final, he thinks, and it might have been, I honestly don't remember who it was he was supposed to race in the final, but he thought he might have hurt something second round. So he said, look, I'm not going to come around and race the final. So he handed the win off to Matt. And then shortly after that, we had a little mess on the racetrack at Coos Bay. No. And everything was going smooth and going really good. And then we had a fuel cap come off. I'm not going to call the guy out. People know who it was, and it's that stuff happens in drag racing. We don't cry foul. We don't go point fingers. But fuel cap came off and happened to put about 5 gallons of diesel fuel from the stage beams to 200 feet out. And Coos Bay has the least amount of equipment of all of the tracks. So we're out there, and Jesse took a pretty cool video. I said, "Here's what we're going to do." Jesse from 3G is who I'm talking about. We said, let's work on this area right here from the stage beams to 60 feet for just a little while and see if we can make any headway. If we can make some headway, we'll work further out. But while we're working back here, let's keep running cars down the right lane. We need to get our day done. So we get all set up. They put about 5 gallons of methanol on top of that diesel. Jesse's standing down the wall about 500 feet off the right lane, and he's videoing while they light that methanol up. And the left lane is completely on fire, and the right lane has got a diesel truck in it. We send him, and it made for good video. It made for people to say, "What the hell? That's a wild moment." Looking back, it's very strange how things happen. That diesel truck in the right lane pushes out a front pump seal on the transmission and throws about 4 gallons of ATF on the track from the finish line to the turnoff.
No.
So I'm walking out there, and I'm down at the finish line, and I'm looking up at the shutdown area, and it's like 5 feet wide, and it's puddled up in some places. And the asphalt's very porous there, and I'm like, how are we going to clean that? And then I look at the starting line, and it's on fire still, and like, how are we going to clean that? And I had to just come up with a solution. And I've been drag racing for a very long time. I was taught promotion wise and decision making wise by one of the best to ever do it, Kyle Seipel. And so when I make a decision, it's based on how I feel if I was racing the event, how I feel I would like to be treated in this exact moment. And that's how Kyle always told me to approach it. It's not about getting the event. It's not to the benefit of the event. You got to look at the benefit of the racers first and make it make sense within the event. So I'm looking at the shutdown, and I'm looking at the starting line, and I call Heather out, and Heather comes down there, and I says, here's what we got to do. It's a tough decision, but it's all stop. We can't clean this up. It's noon right now. We want to run till 3 or 3:30. We're like halfway through. We're more than halfway through one rotation, but we weren't going to get through one rotation of cars. So we called drivers meeting. And I said, here's what we're going to do. Anybody who had results right now, those results are going to count up until that category that finished. Anybody that didn't have results, we're going to Woodburn. Everybody leave now. Change your stuff back over. Let's get on the road. Tomorrow, you all make 2 runs and you all fit that in. Well, then shortly after, like minutes after that decision, I had like 3 racers come up and say, well, I already ran with my category, but for some reason, the timing system didn't give me any data. That hurts my decision there. And I hate second guessing and I hate indecisiveness. So I just had to say, all right, guys, one more quick call. Everybody needs to make 2 passes in Woodburn tomorrow. One pass is you're going to turn into your 8th mile time. One pass you're going to turn as your quarter mile time if you're a quarter mile class. And we're going to make sure we don't lose a day. The last thing I wanted to do was scratch a day off the schedule and have a 4 race average. Or a 4-day average. So we ended up going to Woodburn. Sherry there, she opened up the concession stand and the bar at like 4 p.m. Everybody came in. They partied till 11 p.m. that night. We hung out at the hotel. We had a good time. We got on there on Thursday at Woodburn, and everybody got at least 2 passes in, turned in the results. And it really fixed the situation the best as it could possibly be fixed. But at first, there were some people that really were questioning the decision. And then I had to make a couple little adjustments. But for the most part, I think everybody said there's nothing else that could be done. And we were really happy with the result.
Well, and at the end of the day, like, you're right. Like, you've got to get in and offering those guys an opportunity to make 2 passes or having them turn in 2 passes the next day makes sense. Pretty cool. I like it.
We were even able to take the guys that if you made 1 run already on Wednesday and you're a quarter mile class, you could make 1 run on Thursday and you could turn in your 8th mile time for Wednesday and your quarter mile time for Thursday. So you can make 1 time slip count for both because it's a drag and drive. It's a what's the word I'm looking for? It's an endurance race. So it's not fair to let people make just 1 pass on Thursday if they didn't get 2 in. And there was people that ran on Wednesday. So ultimately, some people on Thursday, if they already ran on Wednesday, they made 1 Thursday, 1 Wednesday, they still got 2. If you didn't run on Wednesday, you had to make 2. So at the end of the day, everybody had to make the mandatory minimum amount of runs. And it worked out for the best, 100%.
Yeah, 100%. That's awesome. Well, back to the winners here. Eric, lead us on. What are we on here?
We are on American Graffiti Magnum, which first place there was Jake Caranda with a 5.61 average. And second place, not far behind, was Ray Lashley with a 5.70.
So Jake, his family business, they actually sponsor the hard tire class. That's Rich All Electric. And I should be going over these sponsors. I'll go back and hit the other 2 later. Jake has had this Nova for 1.5 years. He's changed the combo, done this, done that. It's a gorgeous car. Like, it's more of a show car with a roll cage in it. But he's struggled and had good testing, bad testing, good dyno pulls, bad dyno pulls. He's hurt everything you can hurt every time. Last year, he hurt it on the dyno the morning that he was headed to the Redwood Rally.
Oh no.
So yeah, so this year he came out there and really struggled the first 2 days, and then once he got a handle on it, he at Coos Bay he didn't get to run, and we got to Woodburn, and I said, look, Jake, you're struggling with this thing so much. Just put your Coos Bay tune up in for the best track we have. He said, that's what I'm going to do. So then he really got a handle on it on that day, on Thursday at Woodburn, and then he was able to work up to it. Where before he was trying to swing for the fences, always behind the 8-ball, and then he finally, came in mellow and then worked up to it, and it managed to really help his average out a ton, and he kind of walked away with that one.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big win. And then up next, American Graffiti NA race tire, which I want to talk about this in a second. This is another 8th mile class. Daniel Field won this one with a 6:2:49 over John Ziegler 6:2:84. So this is a tight race. And tell us what NA race tire means.
So it's 28-10-5 or 275 radial or a 30/9. That's the largest tire size you can run. So you can go with a taller tire, but you sacrifice width. It's naturally aspirated, and that's basically it. No back half cars in this category. You can have mini tubs. Frame rails can be kind of moved in, but they have to be a factory style frame rail with mini tubs. All of the cars, other than Unlimited and slightly limited, are supposed to be mostly fully trimmed out. So full interior, carpet, and none of it has to be perfect. Like I tell everybody, you just have to, I don't want to see gutted cars. What I want to see is cars that you made an attempt to finish. And we're do-it-yourselfers. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to go spend $30,000 on interior, but it's got to be a finished looking car, not gutted cars running. So that's what the AG NA race tire class is. And Daniel comes down from Idaho. He's one of our sponsors. He brings a fleet. They brought like 8 cars this year.
What?
And yeah, they brought him, his sister. I don't think his dad made it this year, but then they got a whole another group of buddies that have gassers and all sorts of stuff. So they came out and that battle with second place, I believe going into day 5, they were separated by 0.02 of a second. So it was really, really close. And then there was a little bit of a, between the first place and the second place guy, they had a little bit of a behind the scenes beef going on. So they did a little call out race. They were the first cars down the track on day 5 Saturday. And Daniel hopped it up and he really got down well, and it managed to stretch out the gap in the average. But they're great people. John Ziegler, he finished second in the 72 Camaro. He sponsored the rally before as well. And we just have such a great group of people around us that love coming back, and we love hosting them.
Yeah. That's cool, man.
All right. Next up, we've got American Graffiti Power Adders, which had 28 entries in that class. First place there was Lane Carvar with a 5.349 over Jeremy Sears with a 5.414. And then still close, third place, Edward Rachel with a 5.434. So all pretty close right there.
Yeah, this one was the category was sponsored by Paul's Family Dentistry in Oregon. And interesting note here, Lane Savar, first place, and Jeremy Sears, second place. They are the co-owners of the Olympic Streetcar Shootout Drag and Drive that takes place up in Washington.
That's awesome.
So yeah, so Lane and Jeremy, they sponsor they sponsor one of our categories as well. We sponsor them. We actually give them a couple entries. So 2 of their winners at the Olympic Streetcar Shootout get Redwood Rally entries.
That's awesome.
Next year, they've come in pretty hefty to sponsor the rally for 2 years while they build their event. Next year, we're going to step up and we're going to do more for them as well, because they've got a great small drag and drive. Both of them are in, there's another one. There's a third, one of their other buddies there. Trying to think of which one. Anyway, Lane's is Pro Charged. Jeremy's is Turbo. And those Malibus really run good. There's a red one and a white one. And then Eddie Rachel, he's got a really nice Mustang. He's from where I live, real close to me. I think he's in Reading, actually, where Heather lives. And his Mustang ran good too. I think that's probably the best his Mustang has run that I've ever seen, and consistently as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a class I think would be a lot of fun to watch. And those guys are in that 850, or quicker ET range. So that's a good one. Up next, Glory Day Gassers. Walt Hooker takes that one with a total ET of 42,879. That's a class I want to go see, man.
Yeah, the Gasser class is really nice. Last year it was a little bit bigger than it was this year. Woody's Towing and Recovery from Idaho, they sponsored that Gasser class. And Walt's got a Falcon that's got all gold exhaust on it. It's way up high in the air. It's got red tinted windows. So It looks, yeah, Donovan's right. Matt
Yep.
Houston, he's the other one with the wagon. Then Chase Fouts, he was in a Willys truck last year, but this year he was in a really, really clean white Gasser Nova. And Walt on Saturday, day 5, his first pass. I hope there's pictures. I don't know if you have a picture of it there, but I know there's pictures and video of it out there. He had the bumper dragging for about 200 feet until he finally lifted. It was up and hanging on forever. And then the super interesting note on Walt is, I didn't know this till yesterday. He wasn't feeling well at the rally all week long. And you couldn't really tell unless you knew him. And I couldn't tell because I see him a couple times a year. The rest of the guys said he was feeling bad. They tried to get him to go to the doctor. He's like, no, I'm in this. I'm in this to win it. So he ends up winning. They take off on Sunday morning. They go home. He ends up in the emergency room with a burst appendix and gets cut open yesterday. And today he's in recovery, but he's going to be okay.
Dude,
Wow.
that could have been bad. Drag and drive life,
It
baby.
could have been. These guys are crazy. I can't say I would have done the same. I got to make sure my event finishes, but at the same time, that's too close of a call. If you're feeling that bad, go see the doctor.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, Junior Street, Molly Alsup with a 0.089 spread.
You'll hear Molly's name a few times in this little deal. Junior Street was sponsored by Haley Miller Racing. You can see Molly was first place. Haley Miller was second place. Victoria Campbell, third place, and Cameron Ellsworth in fourth. We had 4 junior streeters this year. Now, Molly Alsup, her older brother, Austin, he won junior street. Honestly, I don't know if it was last year or the first year. The first year, I think he was second place. But Austin, he's bound to be a great racer. His dad used to watch me race stock eliminator. His dad's run stock eliminator, but the Alsup family, really great. And Molly really, she was really tight to her index all week. Now, they also set their index just like the Mind Over Matter class. The difference is junior street by NHRA standards is limited to 9 flat in the 8th mile. So I have to make our software guy has to make an exception in the system. So the junior streeters, they're always running off of their index to the 8th mile all 5 days, whereas Mind Over Matter runs to the quarter. Some people have asked, and I just address this because why not? Some people have asked, well, isn't it easier to make a car more consistent to the 8th mile than the quarter mile? On occasion, it can be, but it's pretty hard to make a 9-second 8th mile car consistent. So that's like the flip side of it,
Here's the other side of that too. It may be easy. Is it easy for a 14-year-old?
Exactly. But these kids, they've got it down. And the ones that you see here, if you look at you can look at the results on the Redwood Rally website. You can see every result, every category, and then hit the drop down and see each run for everybody. But the part that you don't see very well here is Haley Miller finished second place at a 323 over. So she's 32 hundredths over, a little over 3/10 of a second over her index. That's not a true reflection of how she ran throughout the week. She took a 2/10 penalty one day because she went under her index. She couldn't get the car slowed down enough. So when she had set her index, I can't just go based on indexes. You can't just go based on how far they go under. And, a guy goes a thou under, he's not within a thou of his index. There's a 2/10 penalty plus the amount you're under. So if you're a thou under, you're actually 201 over for the day. But we do allow people to make up to 6 passes this year, and that's just it. You just got to be careful with it. You got to make sure you get over that index. There's some people that were dumping it too hard and they end up being 4/10 over, right? Well, they end up taking a breakout pass because the 2/10 is a less penalty than their slow pass. But that's why that category we get it at. We call it Mind Over Matter. It's not as simple as put a number and go.
Yeah, the Mind Over Matter, I really like the setup for it, and it had 83 entries, bro. You guys are killing it over there. First place, Ray Dominic. I'm gonna butcher his name. Dominiak. There you go. Hey, that makes sense. 035 spread. He was actually in second going into Saturday's news episode that we did, and then Chris Molnari was in first place. He ended up in second with an 037 spread. So 2 thousandths of a second, and then third, Molly Alsup 089, and then Erica Young was in third going into Saturday morning with an 032 spread, but ended up at a 0.250 spread across for the week. So again, struggles, man.
All sorts of stuff to talk about with this category. So the controversy was Chris Molinari. He's got a Mustang he's building, and it just hasn't quite been finished yet. So he tried to bring his Mustang last year, didn't finish it, didn't work out. Tried to bring his Mustang this year, didn't quite finish it, didn't work out. So he brought his daily driver. It happens to be Tesla. Everybody knows the controversies between Tesla and bracket racing. And me as like a hardcore bracket racer, I don't see it as quite as much of a problem as some people make it out to be. especially when I do know it's his daily driver. He puts a lot of miles on it, but there were some people that were getting a little upset. Nobody got rowdy about it, but they were getting a little upset that the Teslas dominated. Day one, he's dead on zero to his index. Day two, he's 2 thou over his index. Day three, 6 thou over his index. So there is a pattern there that can make you nervous, right? But then when you look at Ray Dominiak, day one, he's 4 thou over. Day two, he's 10 thou over. Day three, he's 5 thou over. And then day four, he's 12 thou over. And day five, he's 4 thou over. So Dominiak with the little GMC Jimmy Blazer, he managed to take his naturally aspirated Blazer and put it right on the mark too. And he ended up winning the category by just, what did we say here? 32 thousandths of a second over 5 days. So I don't think the Tesla has quite the advantage that people think. However, there is a perception there, and I already spoke to Molinari about it. Most likely next year, Teslas will not be allowed in the category. It doesn't leave them a lot of places to run. There's not a lot of Teslas that even want to try to run. Most likely no EVs in the Redwood Rally next year. It just, for the few that we get, not having them doesn't hurt us. Allowing them could potentially hurt us based on perception from other racers. And, we take feedback very seriously.
Yeah, that makes sense. And, to be, I don't know. So let's see, what's their name that run the Mustang Mach-E? Ledesma. They won number one and number two in, I think, 13.0 index last year before at Rocky Mountain. But dude, you still have to drive that thing. Like let's be honest, you're not running flat out the whole time and it just magically runs a number. Like you're still having to do the right stuff to do that.
Sure.
Anyways, I'm devil's advocate there. I'm, bring them on. I think it makes everybody work harder.
Well, it goes both ways. And like I said, we get so few EVs that even want that are even trying to be a part of it. He brought it as a secondary backup vehicle. And
perfect plan.
He just basically said it's more motivation for him to get his Mustang finished next year.
Yeah.
And
he's like, I don't want to drive it. I don't want to drive it.
That's exactly what he said. So Molly Allsup, she also won. So she won Junior Street. She finished third in Mind Over Matter. So she got a third place trophy for that one. And then our Speed Queens category that was presented by Race White Graphics, that had to do with the most consistent female as far as the Mind Over Matter class goes. So it's females only. And Molly ended up taking first place in that one as well. So Molly went home with two big redwood trees.
What?
And a third place trophy. So Molly, she really cleaned house. And then I'm going to give a shout out to Erica there, Erica Young. She was, like you said, she was in third place coming into day 5. I think she was like 50 over or just a hair over. Her husband, Ryan, has a stick shift Fox body Mustang, and he just kind of overextended himself trying to run 2 cars, trying to help her with hers and run his as well. And they just couldn't get her on the number. They were really close, but just continue over and over and over, just slightly under the index. And they couldn't get her over the top. On that last day, she was like 18 thousandths under. So with the 2/10 penalty, she's 218 under. And, that really hurt her chances for being in the top spot there in the Mind Over Matter class. But her and Ryan, they really worked hard all week long. And it's tough. It's tough running 2. It's tough enough to run 1 car, let alone run 2.
Right. No thanks.
All right, that brings us up to the Redwood Radials, which was won by Donovan Linwood, who was just here in the comments, with a 5.241 average with a best pass of 5.047.
So close.
Yeah, so close. And second place, Olivia Wallace with a 5.497 average. And third place, Jaden Shelton with a 5.50 average, just 0.008 behind second. So again, tight racing there.
Donovan, probably the most impressive car at the rally this year. That's on either a 26 8.5 tire or a 235 radial. I honestly don't know what tire Donovan runs, but he was very close to putting his car in the 4s. I know he's done it before. That 504 he ran.
I don't think he's done it with you, right? I don't think he's done it
with us.
Yeah, I remember him having a conversation.
No, not with us.
I remember him talking
2 years
to us
ago.
about that,
and 2 years ago he was close. But his car has gone through an extreme makeover since then. Last year he blew like 3 spark plugs out on the first pass and didn't get to run the event. He couldn't fix it in time. That 524 average for that tiny tire, that's impressive. And then the real battle came down to Olivia and Jaden. So Olivia's got they call it the slow lean. It's like a 2011 model Saline with a Coyote in it. And Jaden Shelton with a LS powered turbocharged Volvo. And Jaden last year was leading the pack, ended up taking a disqualification for the way some parts were picked up and utilized. And it wasn't it was really, really hard for Heather and I to do that. But, we had to stick by the way things were written. Jaden took it like a champ and said, you know what, it's more motivation for next year. He came out this year, him and his dog Pretzel, and they ran the trip all together. And that Volvo is impressive. And Olivia, they were within thousands. Like they finished within 8,000ths of a second. Olivia thought she was done running on day 5. And then Jaden went down and put down a good pass. And she said, you know what, Drew, we got to go one more. So they went out there. So they went out and put down day 5 a 5:40, which secured that win by the 8,000ths of a second. She ran that one out to the quarter mile. I believe she went 8:27. 3 out of 5 days, she set personal bests ever in her Mustang. So
man, that's awesome.
She ran really well. With that, she actually picked up the Speed Queens fastest female trophy as well. So the Race White Graphics Speed Queens, Olivia was the fastest female at the Redwood Rally.
How cool, man. That is awesome. Well, talk to us about Slightly Limited. What does that class mean? Winner, Chris Ballard, 5:13, winning that one, up from second place on Saturday morning. Steve Volp ended up in second place with a 5:362. So pretty close race, but what is Slightly Limited?
So Slightly Limited is basically a wide open class. It's unlimited chassis cars, unlimited power outers, unlimited anything. The only limitation to the category is tire size. And that's when you go back to a 28-10-5, a 275 radial, or a 30x9 slick.
Interesting.
Like Shane runs in the unlimited class and he's got a big 34.5 tire on it. But the slightly limited class this year was Olympic Streetcar Shootouts, the ones that sponsored that category. The only limitation in that class is tire size. And it was impressive. It was a fun one to watch as well. Ballard, I'm sure you've seen him. He was out at Fuel Tech. He's got that little orange Model T, and it makes, I think it's approaching 3,000 horsepower. Last year, he spent like 40 hours straight getting ready for the rally, and at the very last minute, threw in the towel, brought out a buddy's gasser, and he ran the gasser class. But Ballard got it to work this week. I do know on day 3, they broke a boost controller, and we're essentially just trying to change springs around and do some things to limit the boost as best they could. But I think he told me at one pass at Madras, in 0.2 of a second, it made they had like a 40-pound boost swing that they just couldn't overcome. So they kept bleeding stuff off. He actually had a pinhole in a fuel line at Madras, got pulled over, had a methanol fire that obviously nobody could see. They got it put out nice and clean. He managed to change the fuel line, get back out there and get it back down the track. And then he finished up well on Saturday. So Ballard with the Model T, he was fast. That thing's fun to watch. It darts all over the place. It's about as wide as it is long. So it really darts all over the racetrack. When you see some of Jesse's videos or maybe Luke or Heather's videos, it's a wild little truck to watch. Actually, the Dive Bombers Garage, he's a member of the Dive Bombers. So the Dive Bombers guys, they always put out really good videos, and it takes them a little while to edit. I'm sure you'll see day 1 drop probably next week, but you'll get to see that little Model T dart all over the racetrack. It's wild.
That's awesome. Well, I'm looking at your real-time results here. Again, redwoodrallye.com. You can see all the results there. 496 on day 1, 485 on day 2, 484 on day 3. Day 5 had a 496, but on day 4 ends up turning in a 6.0. Bro, that's got to be tough.
Well, that was the day that it backfired and popped, and when it backfired, it somehow hurt a fuel line, and that's when the fire was. And so they went back and they thrashed and thrashed and thrashed, and we had a cutoff time that we were sticking to, and then we also had a gasser that broke a rear end. That gasser that broke the rear end, they found a wrecking yard somewhere in Madras, and they went and picked a wrecking yard rear end up with another racer's truck and came back and shoved that in. And at the last minute, they said, well, how late can we run? And I said, well, we had a cutoff set for this, but if you need to limp it down, the track says that they'll stay open. And I went and told the handful of cars that were still potentially able to make passes that day, I said, hey, we're going to give the gasser about 15 more minutes. If you guys want to get another pass in, you can. And so Ballard ended up getting his fixed, getting out there, making a run that he could turn in at least, because you got to turn in something. You can't just bow out.
You can. That's a DNF, babe.
Yeah. And it worked out. He got down, like you said, he went 6 flat. He's got 4-second time slips for 4 out of 5 days, and then this one that's completely off the wall. Doesn't make sense. But the gasser got his fixed, made the drive to Medford, and the gasser finished out the week, and Ballard ended up winning.
Was he your only car in the 4s?
I believe so.
Yeah,
I believe he was the only car in the 4s all week long.
Man, that's awesome.
Shane Shane, I don't know if he was at drag week or if it was one of the sick weeks, but Shane hurt a motor, I think 2 weeks before the rally and just didn't have time to fix it. So we all know if Shane shows up, like I said earlier, he's a madman. He will go fast. And it's not like he will necessarily walk away with it. He burned up 21 push rods last year. So it's the endurance part of it is the difficult part for Shane. Getting down the racetrack fast, he's really good at that. It's the 850 miles. It's difficult. So we miss seeing him. I didn't even get to talk to him last week, but definitely miss seeing him out there. Yep. I'm sure he'll try it again next year. I know he's got a couple other cars potentially being built. Yep. So Shane will be back at it soon as well. And then Ballard too, that 496 or the 486, that's not as fast as that thing's going to go. He'll be I'm sure at some point somewhere he'll be in the 50s.
Wow, that's badass.
All right. Next up is Tailgate Racers, which had 27 entries. First place there was Sean McKinney with a 5.419 average. Over second place, Ryan, is it Rezinkin? 5.655 average. And third place, Aaron Fry with a 5.754.
All three of those guys have run the rally, I believe, all 3 years. I don't know if Sean's ever finished in the top 3, but I know he's been motivated every year and he really put the work in, and his truck ran great all throughout the rally. I don't think he had any problems at all. Ryan Rezinkin in Woodburn, it was almost a double flip. It did a wheelie that was straight up in the air, yet it was also tilted like 60 degrees to the right. And I thought for sure that maybe he broke a left front shock and there was no shock travel limit on the left front, because it was up almost on one wheel. And it turns out it either broke the anti-roll bar, or I think the anti-roll bar might have went over center when they did their changeover. Actually, that's what it was. They did their changeover from race tires to their street tire to race tire changeover. And when they set the car on the ground, they didn't realize that the anti-roll was not correct here. It was over center like this. So when it left, it just let the front end do anything it wanted to do. And it was a wild one. And look down there in fifth place, Stefan Rezinkin, that's his brother. Stefan's got the love truck with that you put on the picture earlier that was straight up in the air. We put those guys together side by side for, I think it was for $300 to do a wheelie contest on Saturday. And they both missed the mark a little bit side by side, but they both did some big wheelies anyway. It was really cool. But the tailgate class, not limited to trucks, but it could be a Blazer, it could be a station wagon, but it has to have a fold down tailgate. No fold up hatches, no ambulance doors, no swing open gates. It's got to be a fold down tailgate. All we had this year was pickup trucks, but it's a fun class.
Yeah, I would expect some El Caminos in that one next year for sure. And then Ryan Psyche takes home the win in unlimited, 5.215 average. One of the best unlimited finishes I think I've seen just in the quick research I did. So good job, man. That's fast.
He went 5.12 on day 2, which are on day 3, Woodburn. So he was close to getting a 4-second pass in. And I don't know if Ryan's ever been in the 4s or not, but I think the car is plenty capable. He actually went 5.27 in Coos Bay. And for a small tire car, he's in unlimited, but he does not have a massive tire on it. I think he might have a 2911 or a 305 or something on it. But to go 5.27 with his car in Coos Bay was very, very impressive. And he got the chutes out, and that place is straight uphill. You're going to be amazed, because pictures and video don't do it justice. The place is straight uphill after the finish line, and he was booking heading towards the final turnoff. And I actually had to stop and watch and make sure, I hope he gets it stopped, because otherwise you go through some dirt and then there's pine trees. He got to stop and turn, and it was good. And he was real happy with that. And he basically said, I don't even need to make 2 runs in Woodburn. I'm happy with my 5.27. So Ryan ran really good. Felicia, I would imagine if we were able to do the Redwood Rally again next week and Felicia did the same thing, she would probably cut 0.3 off of that average. It was just, like she said, a learning curve. The tracks in the Midwest that she's used to running, they're different. And I really, really, if you think you're the baddest around, I challenge you from the Midwest to come out here and give the Redwood Rally a shot and run on these tracks. It's a different experience. I'm not saying it's bad at all, but it would really, really be fun to watch some of the fast guys come out and try to tame these racetracks.
Oh yeah, that would be awesome. And highly recommend. And Felicia shipped her car out. I think somebody else was coming. She ended up shipping it or sending it with them. But real quick, so let's wrap up this segment. We got one more. We're going to talk about stories. Total entries. Heather sent me this earlier. 320 people said, "Hey, we're coming." Total checked in, dude. 274 folks. Man, congratulations! A big pat on the back. You guys did awesome. That's a bunch of people.
Thank you. We really try to limit the entries at 280, and once registration is done, there's only certain ways you can get in after that. And what it really comes down to is sponsorship. And we had a lot of people that said, "Hey, we really want to do this event. How can we still get in?" And so we make some sponsorship exemptions. Fortunately for us, and fortunately for everybody, they get the opportunity to do it. But if you sponsor before registration, the sponsorship costs a certain amount. It's not fair to the people that do it before registration for people to just to jump in after. So after registration is full and closed, if you want in, there is a premium on it. But people are just so excited about the event, they don't seem to care. We're so fortunate to have people that want to run our event so much that basically we have a large amount of them that just say, "I know I'm late, I'll do whatever it takes." And then at some point, we pretty much throw a hard cutoff. We all know that it's a 20 to 30% no-show ratio in drag and drives. To have 307 or 308 total signed up and 270 show up, that's like 10%.
Yeah,
that's a really good show up ratio. I think it says a lot to what we do and the way our communication is with people, because that's one of the things that I kind of take pride in the most. Heather and I do this. If you need to get a hold of somebody and you got a question to ask, you talk to Heather or myself, and that's it. And there's no communication loss there, and it works out really, really well. That's how I like it to be. I don't want it to get too big to where I can't manage it. I like the personal relationships that I have with racers and sponsors.
Yeah, definitely.
One last thing here before we move on to the next segment is talk about the General Sherman Award.
So the General Sherman Award it's basically like you're overcoming adversity, working hard, doing crazy stuff to make sure you finish the trip. And Kyle Condos came out from Wyoming. The Condos family brings between 6 and 9 cars all 3 years so far, all the way from the middle of Wyoming. And they brought this Fox Body Mustang out, and I believe it had a modular motor in it or something. In Woodburn, they blew it up. They had a diaper on it, didn't get any oil on the track, got it back to their pit area, started looking, how are we going to do this? We really want to get this car home. They drive most of their stuff out and made some phone calls and found a motor at a wrecking yard. Literally drove one of their family racers' trucks to the wrecking yard, bought this motor full of dirt right off the junkyard floor, came back in, installed it in Woodburn at the track. And I know people do parking lot swaps too, but it was pretty cool to see them thrashing at the racetrack. And they put it back together, got it on the road, and ended up racing the next 2 days and completing the event. So last year, the General Sherman went to Nate Curran, and it's a every year award. We don't take that back and give it to the next person, although that might be really cool to do. Yeah, we've done it twice. Last year was Nate Curran. This year, Kyle Condos with a red Fox Body Mustang for changing an engine in the Woodburn pits.
Dude, how cool. That's really cool. All right, well, let's wrap up the Ditchwork segment here. Again, guys, 10% off all of your order, DDR10. Use code DDR10 on ditchworks.com. Any fuel system thing you could possibly imagine, from 400 to 3,000 horsepower, they got it. They can handle it. If you need to talk to somebody in tech or something like that, hit us up. We'll get you in contact with those guys over there. Mr. Eric, you want to tell them? All right, well, let's get to this thing. Guys, listen, you know the deal. You are our race car friends. We love you. We appreciate you. We do all the fun stuff because you make all of this possible. Your comments and shares and all that kind of stuff make this world go round over here at Drag Driver Pete, and we appreciate it. But I'm asking you right now, hit the share button right now. Tonight's show is a good one. Having Jesse on from Redwood Rally is going to be a huge win. It's going to be a ton of fun. And having Jesse Fox on from 3G Video talking about this crazy cross-country adventure he went on is going to be awesome. And thank you to our sponsors who make all of this and everything that's coming possible. It's going to be absolutely wild. Summit Racing, Ditchworks, Molly Motorsports, Driven Racing Oil. Man, those guys have been everywhere. Have you seen all the extra stuff they've been doing? It's been crazy. Howard's Cams, J-Wire Solutions, AFCO Racing Products, Performer Built Transmissions, Car Change 3D. These sponsors right here, dude, they just like it's awesome to go through and see all the stuff that they post. PowerTube TV, WAF Racing, Sweet Patina, and Racing Junk Classified. Y'all, if you're spending some money, if you're trying to do some shopping, hit those guys up first. Let's see what they got going on.